What I have to say about all of that is what a waste of time because they don't touch any of it.
I know, bro.
None of these characters change. They're the same fucking people at the end of the movie. Even after the end credits roll, what do? Karaoke again. We haven't changed the bit.
Bro, I'm so glad you said that because that was one of my initial biggest gripes that already put me in a bad mood for the film, right? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. I am your host, David So, and I have my co-host for the day, Ed Park.
What's up?
And you know what? No fucking fluff. We're just going to go right the fuck into it, man.
So, how was your weekend? Well, you were in Sacramento.
I was in Sacramento. Went to, it's interesting every time I go back to Sacramento because, growing up, when you kind of grow up in an area that doesn't have a lot of money and you're right there, you don't notice these things because everybody's poor.
Right.
Nobody has money, right? And I've been so accustomed and I've gotten used to what Sacramento is, specifically the part that I grew up, because there's a lot of parts in Sacramento that's fucking nice.
Yeah.
Right. Not so much my area.
Yeah.
And so when I was there, I just looked around. I was like, look at these fucking hoodlums, dude. And it's like this places I used to kick it at.
Yeah.
And so
that's true. I would never go back to some of the places I used to hang out in Tacoma.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And so when I went to this wedding, shout outs to my buddy William and Sung. They got married. Beautiful fucking marriage. But just to say how ghetto it is, one of the bridesmaids got their catalytic converter stolen the night of the wedding.
What? Oh, God. Did she have a Prius?
I don't fucking know.
Oh, my God.
I was like, damn, bro. Fucking Sacramento, dude.
There's a huge epidemic of people stealing catalytic converters these days.
There's some type of metal that people want in it, right?
It's like precious metals in there and whatnot.
Yeah, or something like that because I got my catalytic converter stolen out of my Honda Element.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the biggest reasons why I had to let it go because apparently it's so easy to jack.
Oh, yeah. It's so high off the ground.
Yeah. So people just go in and swipe it. Super easy. But I was in Sacramento for a little bit, went to the river, did all that other bullshit. And of course, this weekend, or actually yesterday, I went to watch the movie that everybody told me to go watch. And we're talking about Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
The legend of the 10 fucking cock rings. I'm kidding.
The 10 bracelets didn't have the right ring to it.
the 10 bracelets.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
But I saw it opening day.
You saw it
like Thursday,
premiere.
Thursday 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out of it when we got home. It was pretty fucking late because it was longer than I expected. I think it was like something around 1 a.m. But
did you go to a 10:30 viewing?
I think it was like a 9:20 viewing or 9:40 viewing or some shit.
Yeah, I did around the same time.
Yeah.
I got out like around 1.
So I get home, I lay in bed, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I think about that movie? I couldn't sleep because I had Diet Coke at the theater.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I haven't had it in such a long. I also quit drinking coffee in the morning. So now I'm hypersensitive to caffeine. And so
That's me.
I couldn't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I just was thinking about the movie and I just started writing my notes. Next thing I know, there's 12 paragraphs of notes of my thoughts. So a few days later, I go back to watch it again because I don't want to be like, maybe I had these expectations and what I thought it was going to be. And so if I see it a second time, there's no expectations. I know what it is, then I'm just going to like it for what it is. But my thoughts just stay the same.
Now, I don't want people to think of, okay, here's the thing. Anytime somebody, so far the rhetoric has been when there's an Asian film out there, I feel pressured to say that I liked it.
You're supposed to like it. You're supposed to post about it. You're supposed to tell everyone it's an A+ movie.
Yeah. The irony. Like with Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yeah, that whole vibe.
They were telling me, the people were looking at me wide-eyed like, hey man, that was such a good film. I did not think it was fucking good, right?
Yeah.
But I kept my opinions to myself. Now, having said that, Crazy Rich Asians was what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
We have now progressed since that. I think we are having a lot more Asian American films. And I think that it's okay for me to say my opinions once the film comes out. And I don't have to fucking hold back anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a certain level of expectations just for film in general. And I think that Asian Americans and Asian films or people who are highlighted, or Asian Americans who are highlighted in these American films, can do really fucking well.
Yes.
So having said that, what the fuck, man? Here's the thing. Read so many reviews, right? A lot of my peers were like, this is probably top 5 best MCU movies ever. That was one of the things that people were saying, that it was either top 5 or top 3 best MCU movies ever.
Yeah.
So before we go ahead and kind of break it down, I do want to start this off with some positivity about what I liked about the
I was going to say, we should sandwich it, like say nice things, and then we'll get to the meat. And then we'll bread it up with some nice things.
First off, some of the best fight choreography in Marvel anything.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And Winter Soldier was up there with some of the best fight choreography. This one upped it for sure.
The bus fight scene in the beginning of the film. How fucking good was that, dude?
It was dope. And the best fight scene was him versus that ninja dude.
Yeah. And that guy's actually a buddy of mine.
Really?
He's a Vietnamese dude named Andy. Shout outs to Andy, dude.
That shit was fucking dope.
Yeah, he like Andy too. Him and his brother, they just trained like in their house, in their garage, and in the park. Yeah. And they've been wanting to do action films. They've been influenced by people like Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, all these like OG martial arts films, but a lot of people forget about, right? Yeah. Because we're so used to in film watching, well, I call it the Jason Statham effect, where it's the quick pans, the fast whips,
right?
But of course, when you watch stuff like Drunken Master and everything else,
wide shots,
all
long
wide shots.
takes, right?
You had to be someone who was really good at wushu, who was really good at martial arts in order for you to execute this stuff, right? So they kind of, these young men, they've been training and doing their own fight choreography on YouTube and Instagram for fucking years. And now they've been booking roles because there's not a lot of people who can do what they do. And it's so fucking good. And it was apparent in the film. So shout outs to Andy.
That was fucking sick. And then what else nice things you got to say about it?
I want to give shout outs to 2 actors that I thought were really, really good in that film. Tony Leung.
Yes.
Tony fucking Leung, dude.
It's in the eyes.
Everything is in the eyes. And there was one part of the movie that really got me was when Shang-Chi looked at his father and he tells him, "Hey, what makes you think that, my mother wants to see you anyways?" And no words, you look in his face, that anger and disappointment in his son, and that's all that needed to be said.
Yeah.
This, by the way, English is not this man's first language, and he was the best actor in that film.
I read up on a scene apparently when he says, "Don't talk to me like that, young man," but he's talking to the old ass dude.
Yeah.
Right. And he says, "I've lived 1,000 more lifetimes than you." Right?
That was so cool.
But apparently the actual translation is, "I've tasted more salt than you've eaten rice in your whole life."
That's fucking tight. Why didn't they just say that?
Yeah, right. Why didn't they? So I would say like that would be our first little mishap, that kind of ruined it for us, I guess. Like when you have a mistranslation, like sometimes that might be the problem in subtitles, but that's like a little nitpicky thing. It would have been dope if they just said, "I've eaten more salt than you've eaten rice."
That's amazing because, the Chinese language is very beautiful. There's a lot of idioms in there.
Yeah.
I don't know why they translated that. I don't think it needed to be translated that way. I think people would have understood it through the idiom.
Yeah.
Also, too, female shout out, Fala Chen. She was the one that played Shang-Chi's mom.
Okay, yeah.
She was fucking awesome, by the way. I mean, she did a lot of her lines were in like Mandarin. But either way, she was also really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought her acting was fucking amazing too. Especially the way she kind of portrayed her relationship with the young Shang-Chi and the daughter and how much she cared. And the few moments that she had in the film, I thought was fucking really good. So those 2 were my favorite. Obviously, shout outs to Benedict Wong. He's actually one of my favorite Asian actors out there till this day. Yeah. So seeing Benedict Wong, that was always a fucking treat. Other than that, what the fuck?
It was a sitcom. Right.
Okay. I mean, let's start from the beginning of the film, right? The first 15 minutes of the film was the best. When I was watching the fight choreography between Tony Leung and Fala.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. What it reminded me of was, this is what Mulan wanted to be.
Right.
That fight scene, that whole choreo, everything that was happening in there, especially when they were coming in, he was destroying all the arrows. It kind of went through him just, obviously in the 1,000 years he's been alive, just fucking everybody up.
Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of what Mulan wanted to be.
Yeah.
Or what I was expecting from Mulan when it came to the fight scenes. And that choreo and dance that he was doing with his wife was fucking dope.
Right. Like it was amazing that they can use fight scenes instead of, them going out for ice cream.
Yeah.
As a scene for flirtation, and like there's some chemistry here going on, which is great. It goes on to the story of when it kind of moves on, like he just wakes up from a dream and he's in a garage, right? He's living in squalor. He takes the bus to work. He goes to see Aquafina at her house. Katie, that's her name.
Well, they went to go do their job. They're
a valet.
Here's already the first mishap in this, right? This is what was so fucking dumb. I already knew off of this part. This is where I immediately rolled my eyes. So Simu is the main actor, Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, or Sean as he's called at this point in the film, is laying in bed. He's doing all the push-up stuff, right? He looks like whatever. I know. It was like the whole Bruce Wayne type of thing. Wakes up, starts doing the push-ups next to the bed type of scene, right?
Yeah.
Even though that's a DC film. And they go over to this scene where you see this expensive car roll out and you see this Asian guy come out of it, right? Which, by the way, they were trying to make it seem like it was Shang-Chi.
Right.
But you already showed us what he looks like.
Yeah.
And you already showed that he's poor.
Yeah.
So why the fuck would we think that was him?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
but how?
I stopped and I was like, that was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah, that like wrong punchline for a different joke.
You already fucked up. You gave the fucking punchline already.
Yeah.
He's already poor in the beginning part, and then you showed this guy come out, and what they were trying to do was like, oh, we want to trick the audience to make them believe that that's Shang-Chi. And then it cuts to him being a valet person. Yeah. But we already saw what he looked like, and you showed a different Asian guy. Why the fuck would we think that's him?
Maybe the joke is that he's this yuppie Asian dude who spent all his money on a BMW so he can live in a poor-ass fucking cockroach-infested garage.
And when I saw that, and then they revealed the Asian, it was a different Asian guy, and then it dry cuts to him picking up the car. Yeah. It's like, bro, we already know the joke. Yeah. We already saw the other Asian guy, but it's not him. It fell short already.
Yeah. I mean, aside from like it was already in the trailer too.
Yes.
So it's like, thanks for giving that away.
Exactly. It didn't make any sense. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
You know what it was? That scene was paid for by BMW. It's product placement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the M8 is a fucking sick ass car, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
The important parts come like he goes to Katie's house and his mom answers the door, takes off his shoes, cute scene. And the main argument that the mother has with Katie is, when are you going to go get a real job, right? And she kind of has that attitude like, maybe I like my job. Maybe I like, going out with my friends. Maybe I like what I'm doing or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And she walks out. And then the grandma says to Sean, when are you two going to get married? And he says, we're just friends, right? And okay, platonic friendship. All right, here we go. And they go to a bar. And there was an Indian Kunal. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout outs to fucking Kunal too, by the way, man. It was dope seeing him in the film.
So they're in a bar and Kunal's dating a Chinese girl. Mm-hmm. And they're a couple and they're meeting with them too. And they're talking about high school, how they were rowdy. And then they go, what happened to you? How come you used to be so wild? Why aren't you like? And she says, because I grew up. I got a job. I found there are more important things in life, and da-da-da-da. Maybe you guys need to apply some of that in your life, right? Pretty typical Asian American like story you want to tell when the social pressures of like, assimilating in America, let's say. What I have to say about all of that is what a waste of time, because they don't touch any of it.
I know, bro.
None of these characters change. They're the same fucking people at the end of the movie. Even after the end credits roll, what do? Karaoke again. We haven't changed a bit.
Bro, I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of my initial biggest gripes that already put me in a bad mood for the film, right? If you are going to use these things as like a moral standpoint, or maybe even an insight into culture, right? Yeah. There has to be a growth in the character.
Yes.
One of the biggest faults that they had in Shang-Chi is that I didn't give a fuck about him, dude.
Yeah.
You know who I gave a fuck about? The Mandarin, Tony
Mandarin,
Leung.
yeah. Wenwu, that's his name in the movie.
Yeah, Wenwu. I gave so much fucks about him because he actually had a heart, right?
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, he abandoned his fucking sister,
Yeah.
right? Disappeared for damn near 16 fucking years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Comes to kill his fucking dad because his heart is hurting because his mom, his wife, fucking got murdered.
Yeah.
He's a fucking asshole. I was
there was literally like no character change or like what he believed. Like, I didn't even understand his relationship with his father, to be honest. Like,
My Brain Farts, this podcast is brought to you by Skillshare. Listen to me, I'm a cut to the chase. I know you're like me. You have hobbies, you have goals, and a bunch of things you want to learn and try, but you don't know where to get the right information because there's a lot of garbage out there. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning, with so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives. Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. Don't be the seed that's in the dirt that turns out to be a poop plant. Get some real growth, son. The course I'm checking out right now is YouTube Success Script, Shoot, and Edit by Marcus Brownlee, one of my favorite online creators. And I've been doing this a very long time, but you guys already know your boy is about learning and upping his skills. MKBHD. Thanks for the tips. So remember, explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/brain and get a free trial of premium membership. That's Skillshare.com/brain.
are you pissed on? Because you know, right before their big fight scene, he says, "I'm not afraid of you anymore," and I'm like, "Were you afraid?"
Exactly, dog. When that line literally made no sense.
Yeah. What did you do to earn having that moment to say, "I'm not afraid of you anymore"? We didn't even know you were.
Yeah. It didn't show in any of the flashbacks. It seems like you guys had a really great relationship.
Yeah.
And in fact, he taught you everything and how to fight. And in fact, what it actually shows that your relationship was pretty good because I kind of actually idolized your father because there was that saying, the whole blood for blood thing.
Yeah.
And you agreed. You wanted revenge for your mother. That's what it seemed like anyways.
Yeah.
And then when he went off to the mission, he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Don't know if he got revenge or killed anybody.
So, we'll get to the story because after that scene, they're riding the bus and they get attacked.
Mhm.
Dope fucking scene. It was dope how they turned into like kind of a mini hallway scene when they're traveling through the bus.
Shout outs, old boy.
Yeah, it was a great fight scene. After that, so Katie learns that Sean knows kung fu.
Yes.
And what? You're a badass. You're da-da-da and this and that. And then he kind of says, yeah, they're the members of the 10 Rings organization. They're after me, blah, 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 blah. So I have to go to where they are? Why did you run away in the first place again?
Yeah. Wouldn't you go disappear again?
Yeah. Why were you in hiding from your father? And if they found you, what's motivating you to go back? Nothing. You just decide to. Instead of, it would seem like in the character we're seeing, it would be motivated to hide even further. Nope. As much as we wanted this to be an Asian American film, they fly to fucking China. and on a base where there's all these white henchmen.
Also, dude, that was the weird thing, right? It's like this underground Chinese badass thing. 80% of them Russian.
Yeah.
What is happening here? What is going on? And also, too, I think his motivation, he said, was, they're going to go after my sister next. You already abandoned her for 16 fucking years.
You've had no contact.
What are you talking about? She could be dead for all the fuck you know.
You left her when she was 10 years old. And why is she even more in danger now than she was 10 years ago and you not knowing what the fuck happened to her? What motivation do you have in there besides, you two share a pendant from your mom?
That's it.
Yeah. But why do we care? And we don't even at this point care about the pendant about his mom.
Yeah.
Because they just tell us she dies and then they do the flashback in the middle of the movie. And then by that point, it's like, then we don't care about those pendants still. It should have mattered for us to care. Like if Sean doesn't care, then we don't care. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way with Katie's character, she's supposed to be our not fish out of water, but like the everyday person like you and I. We follow the story through her eyes of how unbelievable this is. Look, no no qualms about Aquafina and her acting, to be honest, but I have a problem with her character in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
film.
yeah. Her acting wasn't that great in this film either, though.
Like I said, it's a sitcom, like
Yeah.
a Marvel sitcom
Well, this
movie.
is, I mean, we could talk about this part too, right? Was it just me, or did it feel like all the budget was put into the CGI and all the fighting? And when it came to the important parts of the film too, which is the dialogue, which progresses the story, they could give two fucks less about how it was lit, how it was shot, and the direction and the acting.
Yeah.
That's what I felt, right? I don't know how many times there was a joke that completely missed and the theater was quiet. Every time they had a joke, bum, I kept on hearing this. Bum.
I'm not Korean, I'm Chinese.
Yeah, like also to get your like get your stereotypes right too, right? The whole the whole karaoke thing is a Korean Filipino thing, as most Asian people know. But also too, it's just they kind of did the joke where there was the Asian girl who was studying on her laptop at the bus. She goes, "I bet you my mom wanted me to be like her." Cool. And then they slice the laptop in half. She goes, "No." I'm like, fucking hell, dude.
Yeah, like there's murderers on the bus right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just
they had the vagina joke on the bus too. My mom would be so proud if she came out of my mom's vagina.
Yeah.
It's super.
Wah, wah. Like those were moments in the theater where there wasn't a lot of people in the theater because I went late, but nobody was laughing.
Yeah.
It's just like, who wrote these fucking jokes? Why are these jokes so bad?
I went into the Chinese theater, so there was a lot of Marvel fans, obviously. And from my end of my experience was sometimes I was wondering why people were laughing. And or why are they applauding on some parts or whatever. I mean, I follow the MCU deep.
We're both Marvel fans. We grew up with this. And mind you, too, I'm doing everything in my ball sack to love this film, by the way. Like, I don't want to dislike these parts.
Yeah, we're not here just trying to be contrarians because all of our friends are hyping the movie. We're trying to give our best objective opinions. That's kind of an oxymoron, but that's the nature of movie reviews.
And the thing too, it's like the dialogue was so bad. Like it made me feel like they didn't care about the dialogue at all. And I understand that there are certain films too where you mainly focus on the action, but because this is within the Marvel universe, you need the dialogue to explain the story about what's going on.
If there's going to be this much exposition, you better write this shit well. Right? Like Hateful Eight, the most exposition movie ever. But why is it so awesome? Because Quentin Tarantino writes dope dialogue.
Yeah. And this is what I was so confused about, right? Is their acting bad? Or was the writing that bad that they couldn't act well?
I believe it's the latter.
Okay, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like how I felt so weird watching this. It felt like a YouTube sketch. Yeah. Especially that the bar scene where they're just talking, having that casual conversation. Yeah. It's like, am I watching something on YouTube right now?
Exactly.
It looked like a YouTube scene.
It seemed like a very improvised fucking movie. Yeah. Like dialogue movie.
They kind of just threw away
you
this
guys
part.
Be yourselves and just say whatever you would say.
It was just, and also too, the acting was extremely over the top. Like
that's why I say sitcom Marvel.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a laugh track every time they made a joke. Like, what the fuck? Are we on the set of Everybody Loves Raymond? Yeah. Or is this a fucking Marvel film?
Or the fact that so my biggest problem I was going to get to about Katie was me saying that she is our eyeballs. Because she's the normal person, right? Except when she starts taking in the story and seeing the surreal, like crazy magic, kung fu, and all this shit, she's supposed to come to terms with it, and we see the unbelievable happen through her. So we suspend our disbelief. But too many jokes. She kept mocking everything that kept happening, right? So they go to Macau. They have the dope ass fucking fight. The fucking scaffolding fight too, like callbacks to a Rush Hour 2 and many other Jackie Chan movies. They get captured by their father. Father's very affectionate with Shang-Chi. So I'm like, why are you mad at him? No, no, but they have dinner, and he does more exposition about the Mandarin and who the true Mandarin is. And he actually says, it's time for you to take up my place in the 10 Rings organization. And he's like, I would never do that. And then we're sitting here waiting. Why?
Yeah.
You live in a fucking basement. Your dad's a fucking billionaire, You don't want to live for 1,000 years, bro? Like, that life seems dope.
you know why this was so confusing to me and why I started rolling my eyes was the scene in where his mom, Fala, dies.
Yeah.
The way that it was set up, I thought his dad killed his mom.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
Well, because he hated his dad.
Right.
Because he was, I'll never take this over. I was like, what's the reason why he hates his dad so much? Right. And I was like, he must have killed his mom or something. It was somebody else.
Yeah.
And then.
So that's where the exposition goes wrong. So you're going to flashback that, but then you're going to exposition a key fucking point, the exact point that you're talking about missing, which is they go into halfway on the airplane ride. He gives the flashback story scene. His mom dies, so he gets trained like a motherfucker, like him growing up, right? Being trained to be an assassin very harshly. And his sister isn't, though. Sister's pushed in the background, and she has to learn on her own. And basically they get interrupted, and because before he was going to say, his dad set him up, gave him a spear to go finally kill the person responsible of murdering his mom. And then Peanuts or whatever, ha 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 ha.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
and then she goes, did you go through with it? And he says, no. All right. So we go to China, meet his sister. She's the head of this underground fight club. Nice pants. I like your pants. Thanks.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. And then, okay, fight scene. Their father finds them. They get flown out to the mountains somewhere. And that's where the organization, the headquarters is set up. She goes back into her, sees her old house, and she doesn't seem to give a shit at all.
Yeah.
Like, she ran away, but she gave herself up. I don't know. Like, there was a weird line between altruism where she saves and like helps Katie from falling, and then the other one where she fucking axe kicks a motherfucker off a building.
Yeah.
And then she goes, America made you soft.
Yeah.
And then gets caught. Anyway, all right. Well, fine. I mean, what are you going to do? Everything up to that point led to the fact that those two pendants were dragon eyeballs, so they can see a water map of how to get to Ta Lo, the magical land, that where Wenwu met his wife, and they end up being tossed in a prison cell, right? And this is what I mean. After all that happened, Katie mocks what happened.
Yeah.
She says, I thought your dad needed therapy because of his delusions, but I'm beginning to think it's real.
Yeah.
And his sister says crazier things have come true, right? Meaning shit like, Thor and Asgard, the fucking Chitauri invasion and Avengers and all these catalog crazy events where we have even, a bunch of alien invasions and magic sorcerers and all that. And because there's that before, we're supposed to accept this crazy story.
Yeah.
And with Katie's character, it wasn't her processing. It was like, oh, that's happening. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't give a fuck, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
We're just being told, yep, here's a ride over and over and over again. Wow, this is crazy, but it's happening. Cool, it's happening. And
also, too, like her character, too, like what the fuck was the point of your character?
Right.
Like
you were supposed to help us for the ride to process and understand.
If you're his right-hand person, right, were you there? Did you give him clarity? Did you help like morally guide his choices?
No, she was a down-ass bitch, though. That's about it.
That's really about
because
it.
It was so fucking platonic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is the weird thing too, right? It's like, so, he hears about this whole fable. So, the Dragon Eyes opens up this passageway because it's very hard to get into the land that she lives in. It's like this mystical, his mom lives in, right? Or lived in because she passed away.
Yeah.
This mystical land with all
Ta Lo.
Ta Lo, with all these fucking creatures, right? And I guess like the thing that really bothered me was just like, it was a lot easier to get into than I thought it was too.
Yeah. Dad, why'd you have such a hard time? You had the 10 rings.
You had the 10 rings and you had this fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a little too easy to get it.
So that's what I'm saying about what's missing. Like where we have to keep assuming everyone's motives.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
this podcast is brought to you by Fiverr, my friends. We've all got that oddly specific thing we're good at, but no one's great at everything. Fiverr connects you to best-in-class freelancers with experience in hundreds of digital specialties and every skill imaginable to help you with any project. Listen, I've been doing business. I've been in entertainment for a very long time. If I did everything by myself, I would get nothing done. And on top of that too, they're just people that you need to outsource for freelance work when it comes to making a business or doing your job. And I've been using Fiverr for everything from logos to like music stuff to animation, you name it. They have the freelance work that's right there and they communicate super fast. There's 24/7 customer service. Pricing is always like project based, so you don't have to pay hourly, which has been a big pain in the ass before. And you don't have to do any guessing games because you'll know exactly what you're paying for up front. No negotiating needed. Find a freelancer with the specific skills you need for your next project. Check out Fiverr.com and receive 10% off your first order by using my code GeniusBrain. Find all the digital services you need in one place at Fiverr.com, code GeniusBrain. Again, that's Fiverr.com, code GeniusBrain.
we should have seen him getting banished from Talo the first time because he meets his wife, they fall in love, and maybe he wanted to live in Talo, right? But they see the 10 rings, they know his past, right? And so he's forbidden from coming in the city, right? But she's in love, so she stays with him and she leaves the mystical, universe out of love. And he, has become resentful because he wants it, because he is a conqueror. He wants to go in there, but he's banished for his love, but he chooses love. But what happens? His wife gets murdered. That's so much better, motivation. I just thought up of that shit. We don't see any of that, actually, So that's just the biggest problem with this movie. Is it's so unmotivated. It's a roller coaster on rails. You get in for the ride and you leave.
Because it goes back to what we were saying too. It's why is he such a fucking dick to his dad?
Yeah.
Because he gave him every rationale to tell him, listen, I'm doing this because I hear the voice of your mom. I think she's still alive, right? Which, by the way, in this MCU universe, as mentioned in the film, crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
So it is believable, right? And
Right.
we're talking about Chinese mysticism here. We're talking about magic. So when he said that in the beginning, I believed him too.
Yeah.
There was no reason for me not to believe that was a possibility,
Yeah.
right? But then he's sitting here no, mom is dead, right? And just kind of shuts down the fucking conversation immediately. And he's treating his dad like he's a fucking asshole. The asshole part really doesn't make sense because all the exposition that went into the background of his character, him and his father actually had a good relationship.
Yeah.
He taught him how to fight, and he was teaching him how to fight in order to get revenge for
Taught him how to speak English.
Yeah, taught him how to speak English. Did you see how kind he was to him in that part where he was
Yeah.
teaching him how to speak English?
Yeah.
He showed himself being a loving father. He wasn't cold-hearted in the film. He didn't mistreat him at all. In fact, he was very heavy-handed in his upbringing.
Yeah.
Even when they went into the bar, right? That scene where he went to go find the fucking
The gang that killed his wife.
yes, the brown jacket gang.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He fucked them up.
He
right?
fucked them up. And then his son was shocked at first, but he's no, that's right. This is right.
Yeah, and he went through the training.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get around that. So going back where we left off with the plot of the film, they're in a prison. They find Trevor, the old Mandarin. Great callback. He was a funny guy. I think they did it justice.
The only funny person
Yeah.
in the film.
But when he was giving that exposition about the Mandarin, right? I think we could have seen some more antagonistic side of Wenwu. Maybe he pulled him out in chains and made him perform for him, right? Some evil shit, some bad guy shit. That's why Shang-Chi would need to stop his father because, oh my God, you're a piece of shit. Or perhaps we can see that Wenwu with the 10 rings could destroy Iron Man. That he would have been an actual legit threat than more than the fake one in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get that. We just these guys are really good at kung fu.
Mm-hmm.
You know why that triggers me? Because that was the only way I got by through high school. Some rumor went around, don't fuck with him, he knows kung fu.
Yeah.
And somehow that's like the biggest threat in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's as if the audience is supposed to be like, oh, if they know kung fu, then they're the best movie, you know, protagonist or antagonist, whatever. They're not to be fucked with.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Which is, it just doesn't fucking fly anymore. You got to tell us why. Not just tell us, actually. You got to show us why. Because there's enough exposition in telling it.
There was just also too, it's like they did such a big job and a big effort in humanizing Wenwu,
Yeah.
right? But nobody showed sympathy for him.
Right.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Nobody showed sympathy for this guy who gave up being a warlord, right? To live a peaceful life and raise his family, had everything taken away from him. And his biggest motivation now is just to get his wife back. His children had no sympathy for him
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Which gets more confusing towards the end. And we'll get to that part, but it's the lack of motivation for why anybody feels anything towards anybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's just a roller coaster. It's like a sign that passes by really fast. They're angry at each other. She's sad. This is funny. Fight. You know, like we're grateful for the great CGI. It had better CGI than Black Panther.
Yeah.
You know, but if I could have a Oscar-nominated Best Picture-worthy film with bad CGI, or a stinker with great CGI, I'd go with the Oscar-nominated bad CGI, right? We didn't get that one.
I'll tell you
didn't
this
get that
though.
one.
Here's the thing. So they get into this part of the film, right? If we go into the last act, right? It's the village in which his mom grew up, right?
Yeah.
You get to see familiar faces that we've seen in a lot of films.
Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing seeing her. Amazing actress. Shout outs to Michelle Yeoh. And we also saw he was in Kung Fu Hustle. I forgot his name. I don't know. I just read his name, but I can't remember right now. But he was one of the village guys, right?
Yeah.
Can we also talk about how bad the costume was for Shang-Chi?
That's why people say, like, what's this guy's superpower? Well, he doesn't have any, but he has a dragon shirt. He has a t-shirt made out of dragon
just looked
scales.
like plastic rubies on a fucking shirt, right? And then this is the part that had me dying laughing. When they did a wide of his full outfit, it was like PacSun jeans and Vans.
Yeah. So Dockers.
What the fuck was that, dude? So this gift that they gave him is like, you only need to protect your upper body.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the bottom
His
part.
dad
Just
looking at him like, I'm going to blast your dick off.
the costume was so bad. Also, too, the weapon design. Their sticks looked like a burnt cigarette. Like that was losing the light, you know, just ash. And this was their fucking, it's dragon scales. It looked terrible. The weapons did not look fucking good.
That's so like the 10 Rings gang follows them under the waterfall to their magical Narnia. I mean, Talo.
Yes. To Narnia.
Yeah.
With all the Narnia creatures flying about.
Seriously, like, well, how are you going to argue that and say it's not Narnia?
Oh, and shout out to this thing this is going to be the biggest war ever. It's like 50 people.
Dude, in the front yard.
Didn't it look like it was somebody's backyard?
Yeah.
Like there was supposed to be a wedding there?
Yeah, seriously.
The biggest war ever. And then the by the way, the body of water that in which this dragon lives in is like a pond.
Yeah, it must be like fucking Free Willy down there. He would get me out.
I know. It's a super small pond.
Yeah, maybe it's deep.
Yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous, dude. I was like, the magical world is so small.
Yeah.
It's allocated to this really, really small spot.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that whole world got hit at us in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine Asgard just coming in the last few minutes of the film. Imagine like Wakanda coming in the last minutes of Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? Like they had no world building of it except those wooden like sculptures.
Yeah.
Like those were sick. I wonder if they were real or CG. But you know, like if they were gonna do more exposition. You know, they say we have cities. This is just a village. Like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Shout outs too, by the way, in Aquafina. What's her name? Katie. Katie in the film, learning how to shoot a bow in 3 hours.
Right. And that's the problem, because at the end, she mocks it. Yeah, I learned like bow and arrow in like a day, and I killed a dragon, and I killed a Cthulhu, like shot in the throat. And then,
Yo, shout outs to all the people that died though, huh?
yeah.
Dude, this scene wasn't supposed to be funny, but literally I cried laughing. It was when he was like, shoot it in the throat. And as he says it throughout the whole film, he was like, you're not ready yet. He gets picked up and murdered in 2 seconds.
Right.
What the fuck?
These unfulfilling deaths. Like that badass ninja dude.
Yeah.
They fight the best fight scene. They have a history because this motherfucker used to child abuse him, and they don't have another one last fight. No, this motherfucker gets his soul taken away. Like, man, like,
come on.
Were you building intentionally to just be like, come on, like you got to build that until that big last fight? Because what was the fight with his father worth? What did it mean? This father-son fight?
Nothing.
Like nothing. It didn't mean anything except to tell us he's not afraid of him anymore. But we didn't know.
Dude, 2 of the worst jokes happened in the last act. It was when she was holding the bundle of arrows, and then I was just sitting there. I was with a friend, and I was like, hey, we looked at each other. We're like, she better not do the thing where she's like, I can't fit in the door because the sticks are too long. And they fucking did it. Oh, whoa. Okay, I should turn the fucking arrow sideways. I'm like, who wrote the fucking jokes, man? And then
TV sitcom writers.
Dude, it was literally a TV sitcom. And then when the demons started coming down, right? And then there was the big Russian guy, right? He's like, we're not scared of anybody. Blah, blah. Okay, maybe we need your help.
We should work together. Right?
Oh my God, dude. Why does he even have a sword for an arm?
Yeah.
How come he couldn't just have a regular arm?
Like, it just probably cost $10,000 per shot to take his arm out.
Exactly. His sword arm did nothing for the film.
Yeah.
It literally did nothing.
I mean, one of the other important scenes is the night before the battle. Shang-Chi is by himself by the lake and crying to himself, and Katie catches up with him. And he starts going into exposition, finishing the story he didn't get to finish on the airplane. And he tells her that he did go through with the assassination, right? And she goes, wow, your dad trained you to be an assassin as a child and made you do all these things? That's messed up. He's like, yeah. And then he wipes a tear from his eye. I'm like, holy fucking shit. Show us.
Please show us you killing this guy.
Yeah. Show us you as a badass teenage assassin, you know, who is fucking angry but is scared, right? Finally has a chance to get revenge because of what the lies his father's been telling him, right? There's like his dad putting in his brain in this mindset into murdering and getting revenge for him, right? But then let's say we see him actually go through with killing this guy, getting his revenge, but him being horrified, him being sick, him being traumatized over this dead body. Because at this point, he's only supposed to be like 14 or 16 or some shit, right? Like what a real child soldier goes through and why that's messed up. Show us why it was so messed up. You know, instead, he's just this, you know what you did? I don't like you. You know?
Dog, that scene, I started laughing. And once again, this is where I was conflicted. Is it that Simu's acting is really subpar, or was it the writing? Because he was doing things in that scene that I couldn't stop giggling at. Like it was, I'm sad, and he turns away and he goes, sitcom shit.
It's sitcom stuff.
It's like, is this his fault or is it the director's fault at this point? Is it the writing's fault?
Maybe it's one.
It was
both,
so
maybe
fucking corny.
Yeah.
And there's no, and once again,
extra cheese.
And just to go back to it, right? He goes, I'm going to have to kill my father. I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah.
You didn't even try to talk to him, asshole.
If we had seen his trauma, then we would also understand his resentment for his father.
There's a part in the film too when he's a kid, right?
Yeah.
He's constantly punching that thing. I think it was his dad that told him, hey, you need to stop and rest.
Mm.
So why is his dad such an asshole? There's clearly something that happened in between.
Yeah.
Right? But there was a lot of loving moments for Wenwu throughout that whole film.
Yeah.
So why are you going to kill him? You didn't even try to talk to him. You just called him an idiot and that he's dumb. And of course, his dad flips out on him. And he's like, dude, take them fucking away. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't even say, hey, dad, why? Mom's gone. Like, you got to let her go.
Then we had to have, in the writing for this character, we had to have seen how the rings or whatever it is since his mother's death affected him towards either like an insanity because of his schizophrenia, because he's hearing voices in his head. And then he starts doing irrational things, like making crazy irrational things to get his way, to get his wife back.
Saw none of that.
Murdering. Yeah. No, we don't see any of that. He's just a very stoic person. For hearing voices in his head,
seemed
very
pretty
stoic
sane.
man. Yeah.
Very sane. He's like, your mother is calling me from outside the gate in this mystical world, which clearly it exists. And he goes, we need to go find her because they're holding her captive.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? My friends, that has been me my whole life until I started therapy and I got my counseling that I needed. And I'll tell you this right now, your boy is happier than ever. Now, when I first started out doing this, I had certain thoughts about therapy and counseling and wasn't too favorable. Thought it made me weak, but that's just the stuff that I grew up with. And when I kind of let go of those things and decide to use BetterHelp, my life has been pretty freaking good. BetterHelp is committed to facilitate great therapeutic matches so they can make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's actually more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available for you. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit their website and read their testimonials, my friends. You can see how dope it is for yourself. Visit betterhelp.com/genius. That's BetterHelp, and join over 2 million people who have taken charge over their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Special offer for Genius Brain listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/genius.
Sounds pretty logical to me, man.
Yeah, it sounds like what a superhero would do.
Exactly. Like, we have to save your mother.
Yeah.
She's actually not dead. And once again, because it's in the MCU universe where magic exists, this is clearly a possibility. But instead, this asshole who's supposed to be the hero in this film is just a fucking dick. And we don't know why. There was no development for that side. Like, okay, so we got enough empathy, but we didn't get the clear understanding of his antagonism. Also, too, when he put the dagger in his son's hand, he didn't say, you do this or you're not my son.
Yeah.
Like,
right. There was hardly any real expectations, out of each character for another. Therefore, there was no conflict. It was just, to us as an audience, their relationship is fucked up because of miscommunication. Yeah. You guys need to work on your communication skills.
Yeah. It's like his son didn't communicate to his dad that he didn't want to do it. And then he's like, I'm mad. Yeah. I'm going to run away. You didn't seem to tell your dad any of this. And in fact, it seemed like you really wanted to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we didn't get why. Like, we were just supposed to know that Wenwu was the bad guy just because he's the bad guy.
And he really wasn't.
Yeah. Like, what is he doing that other superheroes don't do? You know?
Yeah.
They go out and get revenge. They go out and do things for love. But when they're deceived, they get the benefit of the doubt, right? Like when Hawkeye was fucking mind controlled in the first Avengers. He's, like, something that came out of it. Instead, he died from that Cthulhu thing. His soul got sucked out.
Yeah.
Just because that's what happened. There was no, oh my God, I was being deceived. This was a voice and all this regret. There was no like conflict in the beginning where like, you have to obey me. You have to take over this organization. You got to do what I say. He just acted that way towards other ancillary characters, not exactly towards Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So therefore we don't really get too much of why he's such an antagonist.
Yeah.
We don't understand the motivation behind why he's doing these things.
Here's the other thing that made Shang-Chi look super bad too. His fucking father dies. He just stares back at him and just flies away. Like, that's it? Your fucking dad just died, bro.
They had to save the village.
There was no mourning process for his father dying.
Yeah.
And by the way, when we go back to this thing, the reason why I really didn't like Shang-Chi's character, it was like he was such a dick to his dad when he already knew the motivation, which I mentioned before. But he looked at his dad, he goes, what makes you think our mom would even want to talk to you?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
They had sex. You didn't have sex with your mom. Just kidding. I'm fucking around.
Yeah. You see your mom
for
naked.
real, no, you're a valid point. Like seriously, what gives you the right? He's known your mother way longer than you've known her.
Gave up the beauty of their relationship, right? It was kind of portrayed in the choreography. He's the brutish guy, strength, even his stance, fist, super fucking strong. She's like the wind and the water. She flows really well.
Yeah.
He gave up his life, and she also gave up hers to make sure that they had this. They were harmony. They were yin and yang. This is a beautiful fucking relationship. And this kid, Shang-Chi, is just entitled to everything. He's entitled to call his father a piece of shit, even though what did he do to him?
Yeah.
Besides, but he trained you really, really fucking hard, which was a goal that you wanted because you wanted to seek revenge as well. So
he killed a man in front of him. But then you took all the training. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They didn't show us his resentment. They didn't show us how he got out of that lie, and therefore that's why he was in hiding in the first place.
The only person whose resentment might have made sense was his sister's, because she was pushed aside, maybe, and then she kind of felt like, oh, well, I had to learn everything on so I have to prove to my dad that I'm also worthy.
Yeah.
And I also have to prove it to my brother. That somewhat made sense to me.
But you still assumed that motive. We didn't see any of that motive, right? That's why at the end, the post credits, she takes over the 10 Rings organization. Why? Right? If we had seen something like Wenwu obsessed with training Shang-Chi, so he abandons and neglects, or was her name Jia Ling? I think that's her name.
Yeah.
But his Shang-Chi's sister. And there's one scene where she watches in the background him training and she picking it up herself. And then she also expositions that to Awkwafina, So we don't see her actually growing like in resentment for her father because of her neglect. We just kind of assume it, And we would have understood that, like, if we saw any intention for Wenwu to give the 10 rings to Shang-Chi, that he trained him so that he could fulfill, because he was, what, my wife's dead, I'm ready to give up eternal life, right? But then part of, the story turn would be that Shang-Chi resents the fact that he had to murder someone. And then also because of the deceptive voices in his head, he decides to keep the rings on longer, And that's what I mean. Like we should have saw his sister get jealous and resentful towards Shang-Chi as well, because she was never going to inherit the 10 rings. But what she could do is take over the 10 rings organization.
Yeah.
And so therefore that's why she set up the Fight Club underground, so that she would have a place to come up, into that. We didn't see any of that. I just literally thought of a better story scenario in my head just now.
And all that stuff makes perfect sense too. And also too, why is it that his sister is so quick to forgive Shang-Chi when he fucking abandoned her?
Yeah.
Why is he so much better than her father?
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand. Why is she so all buddy cool with him now? I don't understand that shit.
Because they know Kung Fu.
There's just so many things that just didn't make fucking sense in this film.
Like you're mentioning a lot of the two sides of the same coin between Wenwu and his wife, and we could have seen it between Shang-Chi and his sister too.
Yeah.
Being like a Killmonger, T'Challa situation. We don't see that. We don't see any motivation. We don't see any reason why she's going to take up this organization. We get she has resentment for her father, but I don't know why we don't see any of it. She just says, yeah, he was obsessed.
Also, too, let's just talk about this part, right? And we're going to go back to Awkwafina's character. What's her name again? Katie. So this girl doesn't know anything jack shit about arrows. She just learned it in a day, like 3-4 hours. I say 3 hours, but it was like a day, right?
Yeah.
Comes in, shoots this fucking arrow. A single arrow fucks up this mystical dragon creature's throat.
Yeah.
One arrow.
Yeah.
So, knowing that a single arrow can fuck up this crazy beast, right? Which, by the way, these arrows are covered in the dragon's scales.
Yeah. The dragon is fighting it.
Exactly.
Hey, just rub up against it, bro.
Just sneeze on
He's
him.
like, no, my scales are more powerful when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I gotta shed. I need some more psoriasis going on. I need a sunburn.
I literally, he's like, my dandruff kills it. Like,
Seriously. Like, I mean, it was cool, like, with the dragon and riding. It was kind of Dragon Ball Z-ish. They have it, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they mocked this entire third act when they're back at the bar. Because they're like, yeah, and then I learned, bow and arrow in a day and I killed a thing. Like, they just mock it. So how are we supposed to care if you don't care?
one single arrow hits it in the throat. It's bleeding like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? And that's pretty much.
I can't suck souls anymore.
How come they just all didn't shoot like 1,000 arrows at it? I'm pretty sure if that one single arrow that tapped its throat, you would have killed it pretty easy.
I mean, and you also get a gang, we see that they have guns,
Yeah.
They show up to the magical universe without the guns.
Fucking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of backwards things that happen. Like, in between all the lines, though, yeah, there's good shit for sure, but
Doesn't make it a good movie.
It doesn't make it a good movie.
And here's the thing, too. This is the conversation that I was getting really kind of upset at, right? Especially when people who I was talking to about this, right? They go, well, and this always happens with Asian American films, which is starting to really piss me off because we do have a lot of great actors. We do have a lot of great directors and filmmakers. And so people keep doing this thing where they see this film and they go, they do this for CG animated films. They do this for all this stuff. They go, well, who's the audience for, right? It did what it did for the people who wanted to see it. I was like, no.
It's Jim Bob in Iowa.
Yeah.
He has to get in the seats too.
Yeah. It's like, no. You keep making fucking excuses. This film was not made for children. This film was just made to be a Marvel film.
Yeah, general audience. You got to get everybody. The entire quadrant.
Exactly. It wasn't made for a children's audience, right? They're like, oh, what did you expect out of Marvel films? I don't know. Fucking the first Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Logan,
Civil War, Infinity War,
Endgame,
Black Panther.
What do you?
That's why I keep saying Black Panther got nominated for Best Picture. Do people forget that?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about here, dude? So when people keep making excuses for this stuff, right? It's like, are you simply okay saying that this is a great film just because there was a bunch of Asian Americans in it, right?
Yeah.
Or just because the fight scenes were great?
Yeah. I'm
talking about this as a film as a whole. And once again, I'm saying this as somebody who really, really wanted to like this film.
We only feel this way because we wanted it to be good.
Exactly.
And you know what? Hate it or love it, we did set the bar with Black Panther for films like this. And we had the chance, to get a better story, some character fucking growth, some culture. No, what was the culture in a fucking bombed out gangster base? No, it was in Talo, in Narnia, in a made up land, but then we had no chance to actually care about Talo at all. We don't care about it as much as we did Asgard, even after it blew up. We don't care about it like we do about Wakanda.
Dude, it's just also too, the Asian jokes too, they didn't really do any service for anybody. Like that karaoke joke at the end was so bad, dude. And they start karaokeing, right? Like exactly. And it goes back to that Asian girl screaming because her homework got destroyed in her laptop, right? I look at that. It's like if it was like a blaxploitation film, you might as well just had to do with the bucket of fried chicken and somebody threw it on the floor.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Do better. Do way better than that. What the fuck are you thinking, dude? Just what do you want here? You said you wanted this film to uplift Asian Americans, but you have these very low-hanging fruit fucking Asian jokes in it.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't make sense to me.
And they were unpromising characters with dead-end jobs. And at the end of the film, if they're back in America, they're doing the same thing they were doing.
Dude.
That's why I say it's Narnia, because all the magic happens somewhere else and they go back to their regular lives and then they try to claim that they've grown.
Yeah.
Have they? Have they?
No, zero growth. And the majority of the characters, they just didn't emote. like once again, like I said, man, Simu was a fucking nice guy, right?
Mhm.
Met him a couple of times. We worked on a Wong Fu thing together or whatever. He motherfucker had no emotion in his face.
It's just the same face.
He's just the same fucking face.
I guess like, look, with the whole people saying he's ugly thing, you know.
I mean, he has a big ass fucking head, that's for sure. But I don't know about him being
say
ugly.
He's like the Jeremy Renner of us. He's the Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
You know, a little potato face, but then a handsome, you know.
Yeah, he has charm to him.
Yeah. It's just that, you know, I think this had the whole Brie Larson Captain Marvel thing where during the press tour, you know, we kind of see the character through you, but when we see the real you and you're obnoxious, you know, and you're arrogant, and then on the screen we're supposed to buy that you're a superhero. It's harder to want to see, to accept. It's harder to digest. The whole time it was just, this is what it is. You're in for the ride. I would have called it like Harold and Kumar meets Dragon Ball Z. You know, because think about it. If Katie and Shang-Chi were high the whole time, it wouldn't have changed the story.
Do you know what? Dude, even think about it like this. You know what this movie is, though, right? It's an exact reiteration of a film that already came out years ago. Korean pop star, Ninja Assassin.
Ninja Assassin. Oh
With
shit!
P.
Oh, I gotta see. I saw like the first few scenes. I have never
So
seen. The
Ninja
whole
Assassin is P,
thing.
right? Ninja organization. He is the son of a father who is in the shadow realm of this world, aka 10 Rings.
Yeah.
He disappears, fakes his death to disappear because he was supposed to either murder somebody or something like that, and he disappears. And then his dad tries to assassinate him or find him, right? But the motivation in that made sense because his dad's trying to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
So he's trying to take this whole organization down.
Yeah.
It's literally fucking Ninja Assassin. It's Ninja Assassin meets fucking Mulan put right together.
Right.
Except fucking Mushu's a giant dragon.
I gotta hand it to them though. There was not much Chinese propaganda this time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of CCP prop. You know,
This was the potential of what Mulan could have been.
Yeah.
Right? Like it really, Mulan could have been this with the right choreography and the right motivation.
Yeah.
And it just did. I think Mulan was also PG-13 as well.
I believe so. Yeah.
Right? I don't think it was rated G. I think it was,
Most Marvel DCs are PG-13. Like
Yeah.
if they want a blockbuster, they're gonna take you to PG-13 because they gotta hit all the quadrants.
Yeah.
Right?
And like how heartless he was towards his dad and everything, right? But
Yeah.
at the end, he decides to float his spirit in the river. It's like, why? You treated him like shit throughout the whole thing.
You killed him, bro. No, I mean he didn't do it. The
Yeah.
Cthulhu thing took his life, but in all other case, just like say that final fight scene didn't mean anything. It was supposed to be the most important fight. There was dope like Dragon Ball kind of effects going on when they split the rings, but
It goes through the same tropes of why we didn't like Raya.
yeah. The dragon looked better.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It went through those same problems that Raya went through, you know?
Yeah.
And also too, because I didn't like the acting, I didn't like the cinematography when it came to just the dialogue, which I don't know why the director fucking slept on this one part, which is so important, right? Like composing shots when people are talking is just as fucking important as these fucking fight scenes, man.
Yeah.
If anything, it's more important because this is the storytelling part. This is where you get to see the characters come to life. This is where you get to see them speak. This is where you get to see the relationship that they have with the other characters. And it was so plain. It was shot so poorly.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand that.
Well, from what I understand, the way the budget's allocated, like all the action scenes, all the fight scenes, all of that's already pre-made. You know, the director comes in. So with the MCU, like Kevin Feige's, I guess, big money-making part was that he doesn't get auteur filmmakers. He gets like a lot of TV show directors because in TV world, the producers and the writers are the most important people. And the directors are there to make sure everything gets shot the way it's supposed to be shot.
Yeah.
And that's
sitcom specifically, writers are God.
Yeah, yeah. So what Kevin Feige has been doing apparently is hiring more TV to be more obedient towards their MCU silo. Like there's a canon, there's a this. You got to have this, and that. And don't waste your time with the action and this and that. We'll hire a specific team and they will cover all those parts.
Two different directors then.
Yeah, it's basically there's two different parts that of
well, that explains why it seems so disjointed. It seemed like I was watching two films in one.
Yeah. I mean, like there are directors who quit I think some director quit Captain Marvel because when she had ideas about action scenes, and they're like, no, we actually have it taken care of, and there's all these pre-visuals, right? And
Yeah.
look, I think that does well. Honestly, as a formula, as a blockbuster, as a billion-dollar industry, and it looks great, and the director isn't known for doing action, yeah, I think that's fine, right? But if you aren't taking care of everything in between those fight scenes, you're not doing the job that
Yeah,
we
it's just
need.
such a disservice. It looked like it was two separate films.
Mm.
It looks so stupid. Like
It's one of those movies you have to sit and wait till the fight scene happens.
yeah, that's what it felt like. And that's why there was moments where it was very fucking boring because I had to sit through that terrible fucking dialogue.
Yeah.
And, these actors who probably would have done a better job if the writing was better. So, I'm not knocking their skill level, right? It's just more like, I mean, it was pretty fucking bad. Like,
Yeah.
like the Shang-Chi moment, going back to the part where he's crying, it was the most laughable fucking emotional scene I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's like acting 101. When you're sad, put your hand to your face. When you're sad, look away. It's what the fuck, man? And then you have this, and that was probably the only moment that the Katie character was a little more toned down,
Yeah.
where she felt a little more real.
Yeah.
And by the way, if people say like, well, she has to be loud, that's why she's funny. Guess who was really fucking funny in that film? Benedict Wong.
Yeah.
He wasn't
He
loud
played
at
it
all.
straight.
He played it straight, and he was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, he's a classically trained theatrical actor. So okay, great. So you know that they suck then. So you're making an excuse for them,
Yeah.
right? And once again, I'm not knocking them as people or anything else like that. But when you know that it has to be the writing at this point,
Yeah.
because you have people like. But then again, look at Tony Leung. He also had the same writers,
Yeah.
but he killed every single one of his
Yeah,
lines.
He made lemonade out of the lemons he was given.
Yeah,
It was just we feel this way because of the bar that was set, And look, I wasn't looking for the Black Panther type of hype, where like,
well, the bar was set in the first 15 minutes of the film.
yeah,
It was dope.
yeah, it just didn't call back any of the conflicts. It resolved things that we didn't know that was a problem in the first place. Like,
Yeah, man. And then
the characters are the same people at the end. I mean, like movies that do that need a specific reason why they're the same person. Like Indiana Jones, he's the same character through from the beginning to the end because it's a serialization.
Yeah, and they go, oh well, look at the other MCU films, like how's the dialogue in that? I'm like, bro, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Like, the jokes are pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah.
And when you see Steve Rogers talk about his love for the country, bro, that shit hits me.
Yeah, his speeches are like they go hard.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, specifically too, let's go back to phase 1 and look at Natalie Portman's character. She was the eyeballs of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But then the way it served the story was that she was an astrophysicist.
Yeah.
She was a scientist and she was trying to explain everything that goes down because up to this point in the MCU, it would be really weird to have a space alien that's a Nord god.
Yeah.
Like a Nordic god like Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we need Natalie Portman? So that we could see it through her eyes as a scientist to make sense of all this and suspend our disbelief because it's happening. She's not stopping and like looking at the camera like, well, I guess this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, no, she's processing it. It's unbelievable. But then through the movie, through her shoes, we are suspending our disbelief. And Thor even explains it. Like what you call science and to us, you think it's magic. They're one and the same.
Yeah.
We believe in Asgard because it's not a magical realm in the classic sense. We think it is advanced technology. The same with Wakanda. It's not magic. It's not all magic. It's like advanced technology with some mythicism.
Yeah.
We didn't get any of that in Shang-Chi. It was just, here you go. Take it or leave it. Welcome to Disneyland.
And they kind of already dropped the gem about, the Marvel universe and everything that has happened before. This is global shit. People know what's going on in the world with magic, superpower, heroes, Spider-Man, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So even now too, if I really think about it, when these people in the bar, they're like, it's like, bro, the world almost ended. You saw it?
Yeah. Half of you guys disappeared.
Yeah. You saw what's up.
Yeah.
When you see this, it's not like, I can't believe it. It should be like, oh shit, something's about to happen. So it just just didn't make sense, man.
It was part of the MCU by canon, just because they say so. But then literally it was shoehorned in, sort of really like, just thinking about this being a standalone film, like just wouldn't stand up on its own. It's got a Disney, Marvel tag on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's got other MCU characters, you know,
Well,
making
this
cameos.
is the problem that a lot of Marvel films kind of go through with people who are fair weather, or they don't even like Marvel that much, right? It can't stand on its own because people don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow. Like it's really hard to follow sometimes. And by the way, huge Marvel fan. You know, like I said, we just went through a litany of all the Marvel films that we fucking love, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can understand too why people just get confused sometimes. The only one film that probably people saw that I know that they really enjoyed, that they didn't really care to see anything else, was Logan.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, because Logan was like, there was all this crazy stuff that was happening, but at the same time, I think like that's what I'm talking about when people talk about dialogue, right?
Yeah.
It's like they don't need great dialogue. Logan
Yeah.
was amazing.
Fuck yeah.
Like one of my, not just Marvel films, one of my favorite films of all time.
Oh yeah. It's great.
In general, it's such a good.
That could have been nominated for Best Picture too. I kind of feel like it got snubbed.
It did get snubbed. It was
Yeah.
so fucking good.
Yeah, like we can get past the fact that this motherfucker has like claws coming out of his hands. Same with his clone and a telekinetic old man and all this shit. It's like we get past the fact with mutants and superpowers. This is a fucking engaging story.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
when you look, and you know, just to use that as an example, because we are talking about the Marvel universe, we look at somebody like Logan, right? He's rough around the edges. He's kind of a fucking asshole, the way that he talks to people, the way that he treats people, right?
Yeah.
There didn't have to be a whole exposition about his past and where he grew up in Japan, doesn't even know how old he is, the whole adamantium thing or whatever. You didn't need to know any of that. You could see him struggling to be a good person with his relationship with Professor Xavier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He's taking care of him. He's trying to do all these good things or whatever, and he's trying to let go of this old past. And he's trying to just survive at this point. So you already feel this thing for him. You kind of pity him already.
Yeah.
You know, and you see him just kind of traipsing along, going through a bunch of these trials and tribulations when he's just trying to stay the fuck away. And this little girl comes in, right?
Yeah.
Fucks with his emotions and fucks with the sense of who he is. And you get to see him start to become more humanized,
Yes.
right? You didn't need exposition to know any of that shit. And in fact, you didn't need to know any of the Marvel backstory.
Yeah.
But just in the film alone, in terms of the writing, the dialogue, and the storytelling, we get a grasp of this. And it was just a snippet
Yeah.
of his life. So maybe Shang-Chi didn't have to have the whole story told in one episode, right?
Yeah.
But they probably did it because they needed to carry on for another film.
Yeah. I mean, we know there's going to be a sequel. We know, you know, this is a huge thing for both Awkwafina and Simu Liu. They're going to be in a bunch of other MCU properties, you know. This is good, you know, for Asian Americans in general to have a place. It's just objective. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say objectively either. In our opinions, like we had high hopes. We wished it was better. We just feel this way because it's not.
Yeah. Like I said, and just to bring it back, there's a shit ton of Marvel movies I like.
Yeah.
And this one was a fat miss for me.
Yeah.
It was a miss. Once again, great choreography.
We're trying. We're
Yeah.
trying. We're trying to sandwich this with good stuff at the end.
great choreography.
Yeah,
And I will never ever say representation is a reason why a film is good.
You can't force people to, you know, start changing, you know, their attitudes specifically for this one mediocre movie, just because, you know, like it's for the culture. Is it? You know?
Yeah, what does that even mean anymore, right? It's like, this is for the culture. Cool. We'll make it for the culture and also make it make sense. How about that?
Yeah, it doesn't even matter how loud we are about how great this movie is. It's if, like we said, if Jim Bob in Iowa liked it, you know, maybe he did. Maybe he did. I just think for me personally, it's probably in the lower 5 MCU films.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big facts, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't Hulk bad, original Hulk bad.
Yeah.
Definitely not like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this was not one of my favorites, dude. There are so much better ones. To say that this is like one of the best Marvel films ever, you are out of your fucking mind, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk, dude.
Yeah. I think we are afforded to actually say, hey, look, without the whole Asian thing and any of that shit, really, this is not that great. I think we at least have the privilege to say this.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we could say that.
without walking around eggshells. It's just like, yeah.
It's like, what did you think of the film? It's like, I thought the representation was. I didn't ask you about the fucking representation.
Yeah.
I'm saying, what about the film?
Think that's the weird thing about woke culture these days. It's like people care more about what a movie means than the fact that if it's a good film at all.
Yeah, and by the way, when you talk about what a movie means nowadays, like, why is it that a grading system for a film now is what it personally meant to you,
or how it affects the culture?
Yeah,
or the pop culture sphere, like the dent it makes, and it's
like if we try to have a conversation and we talk about these specific points, and they just go, "Well, I was represented." That's not a discussion about the parts that we had either gripes with or the stuff that we really liked.
I mean, I didn't see myself anywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, if I didn't see myself in a Shang-Chi kind of thing. If I did, like the way he handled is, look, I grew up with a bad father, let's say, you know, with
his father was dope too.
Yeah.
Rich as hell.
Yeah.
Gave him everything.
But my dad was pretty antagonistic. You know, he was a quote unquote bad guy, you know, to society in certain forms. And there were a lot of ways that I have to deal with that. I mean, if this guy is our hero, we got to see him go through the journey of what it means to be, you know, a hero, or the path he chooses instead of the path his father wants for him, like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It wasn't like that at all. It was just this teenage angst that stayed over since he was 14, when he's supposed to be like, I think he's supposed to be like 26 in the movie, but he's much older than that.
Yeah, he's like 32, 33 or something.
I think he had a class of 17 t-shirt when they went to the karaoke.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, let's right. I think more or less class of 07.
Also, too, like one note thing that I think I didn't understand was like how, like, you know, when the ring switched over and it changed colors when he did it.
Yeah.
Why? What? How? Like, what was the?
Right. Well, that was the color change to when his mom had the rings for a sec before she threw it back at him. And I guess that's a thing. Oh,
and then he just threw it at him, and then it went into him. I think that's what it was. It was just good guy color.
Like, yeah, I believe so. I think it's just good guy color, you know? And then like they kind of hint at, oh, something else. It came from somewhere not of this universe, you know, at that post-credit scene.
And by the way, too, like for the kids too, up until the point where his mother passed away and his father decided, you know, the eternal life thing again, in order to make sure that people stop fucking with his family, which is actually a really good thing for him to do. Like, their children life was great. They were up in a fucking mountain. They were chilling with their mom, living in this great palace.
Super dope. Yeah, palace. That house looks dope.
Yeah. Dad was fucking going down a mountainside getting groceries somehow, which I have no idea how that happened. You know, like nobody went to go get it for him.
He took his helicopter, you know?
Yeah. You know, seemingly he had a pretty good life. So he didn't know about his dad's conquering days and stuff.
Yeah, like that's the problem. We didn't see him come of age.
Yeah.
We didn't see him at 14 being like, wait, all of this was wrong. All of this is a lie. We didn't see any of that. We just know he feels salty.
Yeah. And once again, kind of communication skill problems, because it seems like he was just holding it and not telling his dad and then expecting his dad to read his mind. The fuck was that? Well, guys, that wraps up this review of Shang-Chi. I'm so curious as to what everybody else thought. Most likely, I'm pretty sure people are going to hate us.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
I would recommend to see it.
I'd recommend it. That's why it has 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's favorable.
I would give it a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would give it a 50%, which is not bad.
I give it a solid B-, you know?
Oh, you're a lot favorable than me. I gave it 50% for the action.
Outside of everything I have to complain about, look, they put a lot of work into it. We're not the type of people, like, you don't have to be like, you know, there was hundreds of people who put thousands of hours of time into this. We understand that. Our problem is that hundreds of people put thousands of hours into this script.
Yeah. And this is what we got from it. But once again, like, would I recommend it? Yeah, I 100% recommend it. I think you should watch it. Just for the fight scenes alone. It's pretty fucking amazing. Shout out to, Brandon Allen.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, a Jackie Chan stunt guy who passed away.
I
think he was a pretty big integral part into the choreography of this film as well.
Right.
So
I gotta look into that.
Rest in peace, man. Yeah, 100% recommend the film. Wasn't a big fan of it, but definitely I don't regret watching it.
Me neither. I saw it twice. I don't think I need to see it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not watching it twice. That's not happening. But yeah, guys, you can catch Ed at Ed Park VP. And you can catch Genius Brains every Thursdays and Sundays. And name other films that you want us to watch and review. I love watching films and I love breaking it down with Ed. So we will see you all next time.
Peace.
Peace.